Hi, I'm David, and as the title says, saving the DCEU. Before we talk about how we're going to save the DCEU or how I propose it be saved, but that's just an opinion, we're going to say what happened and why all this is going on. Okay. First of all, DC's first problem before they even started making bad movies or bad choices, like Superman versus or Superman v Batman and um, some of the other disasters that they've had and whatnot. That their first problem was they were trying to emulate what apologize what Marvel had done, and by the time DC started doing stuff, Marvel was already well into their cinematic universe. Okay, and what and they they wanted to play catch up, which honestly they did not have to do. That was their very first mistake. Was DC tried to catch up to Marvel. They didn't need to do that because by doing so, all they did was shoot themselves in the foot. I say this because what Marvel did was they took a number of years and they made 5 non-Avenger movies prior to the first Avenger movie. There was like 2 Iron Man's, maybe 2 Thors or 1 Thor. I don't know, but there was definitely 5 movies, and I don't even know if you want to count the Incredible Hulk. But either way, there was at least 5 movies that helped develop them before they got the Avengers. And if you remember correctly, if you've seen these, there were quite frequently there were post-credit scenes that had the Nick Fury character talking to Captain America, talking to Tony Stark, talking to Thor, or and developing this Avengers project he was trying to get going. Um, all this helped develop this, and is why Marvel was successful. We met the characters, we understood them, we had seen 1 or more movies with them involved, so we had a sense of who these people were. We actually saw the Black Widow in more than one of those movies. So we learned a lot about these people before they became the Avengers. And that was where DC had one of their big problems was they thought they could rely on the Batman and Superman that were already established, although we're talking about having a Ben Affleck Batman that we hadn't had before, and a Henry Cavill Superman, which was, they had 1 movie and then I think another one that didn't do so well. I have my own opinion on how why the Superman movies fail and why the ones with Christopher Reeves worked so well. I'll go over that real briefly just so I know, is because the secret to portraying Superman is by being a good Clark Kent. Superman crashes through walls, he flies through the sky, he catches airplanes, he bullets bounce off his chest, he does all those things. That's easy. Being a good Clark Kent helps develop the character, and it makes Superman all the better. That's why you saw so much Clark Kent in the Christopher Reeves movies, because Christopher Reeves did such an excellent job of being Clark Kent. Brandon Rolfe, who was he was a terrible Clark Kent. And Henry Cavill's not bad, but he's not anywhere near the caliber of Christopher Reeves. In order to be a good actor for Superman, you got to be a good Clark Kent, because the acting comes from Clark Kent, not from being Superman. Anyway, let's go back. All right, so they relied on these 2 characters to pretty much carry it, so thinking they didn't have to develop that. They threw Wonder Woman into the Batman v Superman movie, who no one had ever seen. Now, granted, everybody kind of knows who Wonder Woman is and all that, but she didn't have an origin tale, she didn't have a name, we didn't get to know her, she just showed up. And one of the scenes, both Batman and Superman thought that she was with them, or was with the other one. Again, they didn't develop anything. So when Justice League finally rolled around, it failed. Why did it fail? Because we didn't have any vested interest in it. We barely knew Batfleck, and we, Henry Cavill, we didn't know his character all that well. We've never seen Cyborg before. We had not met the Flash yet. Um, we didn't know anything about, well, we knew a little bit about Wonder Woman because I think by the time Justice League rolled around, we had at least one Wonder Woman movie. So we had a little bit of an idea, but we didn't have any of the senses of knowing these characters like we did in the Marvel concept. And in a lot of these things, they really messed up. They messed up maybe their origins, or they messed up something else in their tale. And just as for Aquaman wasn't bad. It was Wonder Woman and Aquaman, I think, were two of the few DC movies that actually did well, but the second Wonder Woman movie was not so well. If you've seen it, great. If not, I'm going to spoil a little bit for you, but there's like, I would almost call it a rape scene in it. To, again, spoiler alert, so, I'm going to do the Steve Trevor's soul or something ends up going into the body of this other guy, and Wonder Woman literally has sex with Steve Trevor, but he's in the body of this other man. So this man is having non-consensual sex with Wonder Woman. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but it's still non-consensual. All right. So why DC did that, I don't know. So DC had a lot of problems. They had no character development. The audience had no vested interest in these characters. We barely knew Ben Affleck's Batman. We barely know Henry Cavill's Superman. We don't know Cyborg at all. We don't know Flash at all. We don't get to know them at all. And anybody else they bring into it, we didn't. It wasn't like the Marvel movies. So that's where they screwed up. They rushed. They should have done what Marvel did. They didn't have to play catch up. All they had to do is do their own version of things. Put out, all right, they already had a Batman movie and they already had a Superman movie. They made a Wonder Woman movie. They made an Aquaman movie, but they could have made a Cyborg movie. They could have introduced us to some of these characters sooner. And let us get to know them better, so we had vested interest. Some of the storytelling was terrible. If you look at some of that, and why they chose Steppenwolf rather than Darkseid, I don't know. When Marvel came out with their Avenger movie, or their Avenger thing, it was they led up to Thanos, so. And they were just trying to rush, and it was just a big mess. So, but I'm going to tell you how to fix it. And they've already done it, and I doubt that they did it right, considering DC doesn't seem to do anything right. But how they fix it, and they can always go back. In fact, frequently this happens in the DC comics. Okay, the movie The Flashpoint Paradox is a book in which Barry Allen travels back in time to stop the murder of his mother by the Reverse Flash. When he does so, and I'm telling you the story right now, because this, from my understanding, the Flash movie is going to parallel this storyline to some degree. Okay, so what happens is he goes back in time and he rescues his mother. And when he comes back, the world is totally different. Wonder Woman and Aquaman are at war with each other. I guess Wonder Woman has killed Mera. There's all kinds of chaos going on. And Flash is trying to fix it, but he can't, because he can't go back in time again, because Reverse Flash is now present. And you've got too many speedsters using the Time Force, so he can't get enough of the Time Force in order to get back in time to put things back the way they were, which obviously is going to be very traumatic for him. It means he has to let his mother die. Okay. In the storyline, there's some other things that happen that aren't going to happen in this movie. In the movie, again, these are from leaks I've heard, and they're from reliable sources. You can probably find them here on YouTube from other people, and we've all heard Michael Keaton's Batman is going to come back into play. Obviously, he'll be an older version of Batman. That is not what happens in the Flashpoint Paradox storyline. So it's a little bit of change there. So we're going to find a Michael Keaton Batman. Now, are we going to have more than one Batman? Is Batflick going to be in there? Are we going to see Robert Patterson in there? I don't believe we're going to see Robert Patterson. We may see Ben Affleck. Anyway, so what happens is obviously Barry needs to change things, and he does and sets things straight again. But by doing so, it's not exactly the way it was. So you basically reboot the DCEU. Now, I don't think they're going to reboot it correctly. I think they're going to fall back into their own mess because they don't want their movies to be, swept under the rug like it didn't happen. Especially some of the better ones, like the first Aquaman movie. I haven't seen the second one; it hasn't been out, so I don't know. Or the first Wonder Woman movie, which they actually could have left alone because technically, Wonder Woman we have not seen, other than Superman v Batman, we have not seen Wonder Woman in the present day because both the Wonder Woman movies take place in the past, which obviously can be altered again. So that's how you fix this. This is how you reboot the DCEU. What my thought is, and again, they could find another way of doing this, maybe even tell a second Flash movie where they can reboot everything. They can have the Flash go back in time and fix everything. Robert Patterson can stay as Batman. They can do whatever they need to do with Superman. I'm not sure if Henry Cavill is going to stay as Superman or not. But either way, they can change that to the best of their ability. And reboot the thing and fix what they screwed up. Now, whether they do that or not, I don't know. Like I said, the movie's pretty much already been made, so I don't know what they're going to do or not do. But that would be the smart thing. And it's not like they still can't do that. Okay, they're depending on what they do in the Flash movie, that could leave the door open for a lot of things. Now, I know there's a lot of trouble with the actor portraying Flash. Again, they could use this movie to actually rid themselves of him as well. How do you say? Okay, Flash changes the timeline. So maybe a different version of Barry Allen is now the present day Flash. Remember, Marvel doesn't have a lock on multiverses. In fact, DC had a multiverse that they had to fix with their storyline Crisis on Infinite Earths. They had so many different Superman and so many different Batman, and so all these other characters floating around in all these different multiverses and storylines that people were getting confused. So they could certainly have a different version of Barry Allen appear after Barry Allen changes things, and that if they need to they can get rid of Ezra Miller as the Flash. So again, they can fix everything with this Flash movie, which obviously it's too late now. Hopefully they can do that. And depending on how the Flashpoint movie ends, they could still reboot everything. Depending on how they end it, they can leave that up to where anything could get rebooted and become different. Michael Keaton can stay as the old Batman, and maybe the Robert Patterson could become the new one, or maybe Ben Affleck will be involved in this somehow. We'll have to wait and see. Again, like I said, a different version of Barry Allen could be the new Flash. They could take the guy that plays Flash in the TV series, or even another actor altogether if Ezra Miller is too much of a problem. Okay, but they can reboot everything, get rid of what didn't work, keep what works, and move forward and quit trying to play catch up. Just make decent movies. If anything, follow the lead of Marvel, although you may not follow it up to this point right now because Marvel's been kind of falling on their face here lately with a lot of things. Okay, but that's my opinion. That's how we fix the DCEU. We fix it with the Flash movie. And like I said many times already, I know the movie's already been made. That doesn't mean this movie still can't fix everything, because the whole premise behind the movie is Barry going back in time to stop the death of his mother. And in doing so, there's a lot of things that happen. I don't want to spoil it all because I might be telling you the movie. But even if he puts things back right, they're still not going to be exactly as they occurred. So therefore, that could change the the future. We're not dealing with the TVA or anything like that, like we do in Marvel. So it's not the same premise. So you literally could do a butterfly effect, so to speak, on things. Oh, we changed this event, so now this happened in a different way. So now instead of this, this happens. So that would be the way to let that happen, and to save the DCEU, or not save it, maybe just bring it back from the dead. Anyway, that's my opinion. I welcome your input. Thank you much. You're good.
Come on.